what's on the whiteboard?
My son erased all the amazing stuff that I was writing yesterday. It was a whiteboard Thursday, uh, for me over here. And now there's a bunch of Godzilla stuff because he's obsessed with Godzilla and I forgot to erase it. So, um, yeah, that's how we run the company. Godzilla drama.
That's your business strategy?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly, dude. Just be a Titan. That's all. That's all.
Dude, I know Chase so well. We could talk about anything.
Yeah, just talk
This is
whatever.
going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
What the hell do you want to do? What do you want to do here? Wait, Jack, how you doing?
Yes.
No, dude, the
Yo.
dad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chase
oh,
is
yeah.
a three. Dude, Chase is a 3Xer over here.
Yeah, Jeremiah is too, man. We got 2 3Xers in the house.
Oh,
Guys.
I thought you had 2 kids for some reason.
I got 3 now. I mean, last year was the 3rd, but yeah.
Yeah, Chase has been messaging me every day, checking in, seeing how I am. We've been very lucky. We've got both our parents visiting and even my little brother's here. So I'm getting 8, 9 hours of sleep. Feeling good. Yeah.
Dude,
I don't get that much hours of sleep when I'm at my parents' house. When I'm like, you are living the
I don't get that much. I haven't gotten that much sleep in years, dude. What the hell are you saying?
I get like
Wait, hold-
I get like one night like that every 6 months.
yeah. Well, if I get that much sleep, I start to feel sick. Actually, like that's
Oh, you
happened a
do?
couple times on like vacation. Well, it's just because my body like rejects. It's like, dude, 5 hours and sleep deprivation. Like that's the actual place you need to live.
Wait, here's what we're gonna do. Okay, this year,
7 hours is
hey,
a good
dude.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm crushing it this year. Okay,
Yeah.
hold on. This is last year. Is it? Wait, it's still loading. It's
We got-
so depressed. Okay, hold on.
bad. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So you got
That's good.
You got a nice little, yeah, you got a nice.
Okay, not horrible. Okay, the year prior,
Wow, you've been tracking for a while, hey?
12 years.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Not
So
good.
it's still
Bad
still,
year.
Wait, if you keep going back, are we going to lose half an hour a year for...
Bad
12
year. That was a bad year. 2023, I had like a tracking issue, so I only got 2 months.
Hold on. So one of your months there on 2024 looked like it was way lower than the rest of them.
Kid born.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you can
Dude.
tell when I have
Dude,
kids.
dude,
Look at this.
look. Okay.
I'm at the half. Chase.
Kiss my ass.
Chase, what are you doing? What are you doing with 5.5 hours of sleep? You're gonna kill yourself. I mean, literally, not like figuratively.
So I did something just a month ago. I started taking this thing off at night and just getting in bed at 10, and like I'll still do stuff and whatever, and I'm getting up at 6. I don't get the full thing. I find this weird thing happens to me where I get so competitive about the time that I get a negative feedback loop. And when I don't measure, but I measure everything else in my life, I actually end up getting better sleep. Everyone is different, but like every time I measure sleep, I find my sleep starts going down and down and down because I'm thinking about it so much. And then I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, I fucked up my sleep score. Like, how could I do this? It's like, you're sitting there getting really competitive. I don't know. It happened to me when we had the second kid. I had the Whoop on all the time. And it's like, yeah, you slept for 4.5 hours. What the fuck? So now my mind is like, well, I'm screwed today. I can't do anything today. So now
I think,
yeah.
dude, I just don't think you can run a company without taking care of your health first.
Well, dude, I lost 40 pounds in the last 5 months, down from 230 to 190, feeling incredible. And my sleep, I've been sleeping about 6.5 hours a night, and I got to get that even higher up. So I completely agree with you. I didn't do a good job because I was not making good decisions because I wasn't sleeping enough. So I completely agree.
Yeah, I think like it's underrated. Yeah, invest in health, and then everything compounds upward from there.
Yeah. Like my mental health has gone up like crazy actually since I started focusing on nutrition and exercise. It sounds so obvious, but like you get in kind of a spiral of like, well, I'm tired because I've only been sleeping 5.5 hours a night. Now I'm hungry because it's 11 o'clock at night. You know what would be good right now? That ice cream that I got in the fridge. Like, bro, you just have some macros, man. Like stop messing around with the Haagen-Dazs. It's not going to help you. You already had a steak,
At least it's better than Ben and Jerry's, dude. I got some Ben and Jerry's tubs in the freezer. some Reese's peanut butter cups mixed into that ice cream. Dude, chemical engineering marvel. I don't even know how they put that through a tube. How do
Yeah.
you put chunks of Reese's peanut butter cups through a tube? You know what I mean? Like,
That's the magic. By the way, we should take that to a lab and figure it out. But that's the magic of Ben and Jerry's and modern. What do you even call ice cream science at this point? I don't know. But yes, sleep 100%, health 100%. I've seen the direct correlation to me making better decisions with focusing on that stuff. But like, dude, there's a whole cottage industry about don't sleep, work your ass off. Like you must grind yourself into the ground. And dude, you hear that enough and you start believing it because you don't get the context around everything that was going on in those periods with those people, or like they're trying to sell you something. So if I could give anything to founders, it's like,
think that, okay, I don't know where you're getting those. I don't know any of those people.
oh, you're not on that corner of the internet, which is grind till you die.
So many people are like that.
You need to come. Well, don't come to my corner of the internet because there's all those people saying that you don't need sleep. Like the only thing that you need is to win, and you do whatever you need to do to win. And it could cost you 7 years at the end of your life because your heart is not in shape. And maybe you never see your children again, but you will have made lots of money.
I don't know. I know lots of people with lots of money, dude. Like I know almost everyone with lots of money, and none of them say that.
I know almost everyone.
I'm not arguing with it. I know similar people and they all sleep a lot. And if you ask them, did you ever have a period in your life? You say, yeah, but it was 6 months and I made that decision and I wouldn't do it again because it was terrible. Right. So I, I'm with you on that completely. I'm more saying like there is a whole group of people that espouse this stuff regularly. And like, you go read the comments on that and they're like, yeah, man, like I've been grinding, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And yeah, there's a whole, I mean, Jeremiah backed me up on a +1 on this one, but it is a thing. It definitely is a thing. Not arguing for it, but it is something that's out there.
You can 996 or even 997 and get like 8-9 hours of sleep a night,
Yeah.
right?
Not
It's
if you have a
just
family though. I don't know. Like I actually think this is like I struggle with this a lot because my schedule looks like I get up in the morning, I spend 2 hours getting my kids ready for school, getting them to school, all that kind of stuff, right? That's the first 2 hours of my day is that.
Yes.
And I work my ass off nonstop until 5 o'clock when I go pick my daughter up. And then we do family time until 8:30-ish. And then the part of my day that I get to do anything else is like 8:30, 9 o'clock until I go to bed, which I try to keep that like no later than 11, which doesn't actually happen often. There's like 2 hours basically. So like that's what my work week looks like. And the weekend is the same thing, but it's kids all day instead of work during the day. So like I think the thing that I constantly sit here being like, man, I'm not working enough. But if I work more, that means I'm taking away from my family time. When I work out, I do it during the workday
Yeah,
because
same.
that's the best time for me to do that,
I
right?
just
So
roll calls while I lift.
nice.
I tell people like, if you hear plates banging in the background, it's because I'm trying to have a functional 30 minutes with you.
Yeah, but I look at him like, man, I cannot without taking away from like my family time. I can't do more than 50-ish hours in a week. Like that's kind of my app.
Can I tell you
But yeah, good.
my philosophy on this is just like hiring more people in the company does not make you more productive. For sure, adding more hours to your day does not make you more productive. That's point one, because your rate limiter is very rarely your input. It's some other external market thing, at least if you've prioritized correctly, which hopefully you have. But the second thing is, Jeremiah, one thing I will challenge is I basically the exact same schedule as you. Okay. I like get ready by 6:30, but between 5 and 6:30, so that way I can like get my kids ready, drop them off, get to work, blah, blah, blah. It takes like an hour and a half. But between 5 and 6:30, I can get an incredible amount done. Because with AI, it's like the rate at which I can get information, understand it, act on it has never been faster. And then I can, on the weekends, do work while I am pushing my daughter on the swing because I can just talk to an agent and get shit done. And it is insane. And it's like, I mean, now, and the way that I talk to the agent is different than the way other people in the company will. And so then that work is just useful in a way in which other people can't do it just because they don't have the context, right? Which at this point, that's changing very fast. Like, quote unquote, that they don't have at this point, everybody in the company has context, but I just don't think that the number of hours you put in has anything to do with the output.
Is like, I 100% understand that at like an intellectual level. And yet the feeling that you need to continue to grind is still there for me. Like I guess what I'm trying, I don't know if that makes sense, but like I get that, but also like there's an emotional thing that is like hard for me to get past oftentimes in that. So
Really?
I feel I kind of feel I feel Jeremiah, I feel very heavily on your side, and it's like, first of all, I think, like, whatever you have bottled up, Ship, it's like, can you send it to Jeremiah and I? Because I'm gonna take a shot of that, like, which is, not wanting to do that. I think the same way though, Jeremiah, he doesn't live on our corner of the internet with like all this grind stuff. Like, stay away. Never like a Jocko, never like a Jocko Willenick post in your life, or it will cascade downwards into this prison that Jeremiah and I've digitally put ourselves in. I think what you're saying though, Rish, is really powerful because I found the same thing. I'll take my daughter on a walk in the afternoons. My kids will be either doing their homework at home or they're doing something in the backyard, and my wife is watching them, and like she wants to go on a walk in her stroller. And she says, like, hey, let's go on a walk. And I'm like, yes, the gods have opened up. And I'll open up my machine and I'll go get dispatch going while I'm walking. Right. And I'm like, okay, now I can talk to the data. I can go get all these reports, all of this stuff while I'm walking. And we'll go for 45 minutes on a walk. Or maybe I would have talked to my mom, or I talked to the information about the company, and I find so much stuff, right? So like I'll then draft 10 Slack messages, 3, 4, 5 emails, and I find that to be really impactful for my mental health, actually, more than anything, which is like, okay, I've had this singular time where I'm able to catch up and even get ahead. But you have to and I still haven't, by the way, done an incredible job of setting all of this architecture up to be able to do this. But Jeremiah, I think some of this is like we all just got to let go of like everything being able to be done. It's like, what is the highest leverage things, 2 to 3 things that we can impact? Because like trying to do 7 to 8 things, like you're never going to do an incredible job at it. And like the extra, to Rishabh's point, the rate limiter is there, right? My dad's an entrepreneur. I watched him, and he'll probably watch this and talk some shit to me about this, but I watched him try to do like 15 things at once. And he has a new business, and he now would say, hey, I'm only doing 1 or 2 things, but I'm doing them exceptionally well. And he had, at the height of his business, he had like 700 employees around the world. You know what I mean? Like he didn't have a small business, but he was trying to do too much. And he was never the best version of himself because he was doing that. I find when I am across too many things, and I don't mean like I'm the person who knows is in the know, like I'm driving too many things myself, like they all get fucked, and I'm the one left holding the bag here, which then cascades down to family, to self, to this. That's why I got to 230. My body frame is not meant to be this big, but I was eating out of anxiety and all of this other shit. And like I have found that the more I focus on where I'm going to be the most valuable, and then I am informed, right, but not responsible in the racy framework, if you will. I can be helpful. I can unlock things, but I'm not blocking things, and then that takes less mental bandwidth for me.
Okay, first of all, I disagree entirely with how you do things.
Please
But
tell me. That's fine. I don't. I mean, that's
I
why
think
we're here.
there's two. I mean, yes, that's exactly why we're here.
Yeah.
And I guess that's like the character that I play on this
Yeah.
show. But also, you got to take a drink of whatever the hell Jack drinks, because Jack is just the most chill guy that I've interacted with in my life. And
Ever.
he's running multiple businesses. And I'm like, dude, how the hell is he running?
They're tiny, Garrett. They're very small.
but small doesn't change the fact that it takes focus and energy to make things happen.
Bro, it's all energy, dude. It's all
Yeah,
energy. Yeah,
exactly. Dude, this
yeah,
is
yeah.
exactly the point.
Yeah.
Dude, you're helping me right now. You're helping me prove my point.
Guys, you're making me blush.
Yeah, it's all energy,
This is
dude.
which is great. Which is great. Like I want to be right, you know? It makes me feel good. Feeds the ego, makes the head bigger, you know what I mean?
Look,
The
I don't think any of that's wrong. I guess what I'm saying is like it everything about my point is my energy has been wrong. That's the entire point, and the crux of my entire argument is energy has been wrong. Outputs have not been great because of energy being wrong. You're saying, hey, look, Jack is having multiple businesses. Energy is good. You're talking about your energy. I think Jeremiah and I are both saying like our energy is not aligned properly and it's affecting us. So like I think we're all saying the same thing. But yeah, I think you do want to be right. So uh, like
I think the thing that I get nervous about, Chase, is like when you say things like I need to be driving these things versus being informed. That's what makes me concerned. And the reason it makes me concerned is I don't think you want to delegate, actually. I think if anything, the reason you're saying that is you don't like delegating. And that's fine. Like you can just be honest about that. I can be honest about that. Like, you know what I mean? Like we can just be honest about who we are and how we like to operate, and that's totally fine. I think all it does is then say, okay, great. Given that I'm not going to be able to drive 10 things and I can drive two, I just got to pick those two pretty well. And then I just got to allow the rest to go to zero. This idea that I'm going to delegate it to someone else and it will get taken care of, bad idea.
yeah.
That's not going to work.
No,
No offense to the people of the world.
I don't think
It's
that
just
works.
it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think you should not even bother to be informed. I was like talking to Jeremiah about something right before this, and I literally got told that I was being informed about something. I'm not going to describe what it is because it's, but Jeremiah can attest to this, right? I'm like not speaking out of two sides of my mouth. And I was upset that I was informed. I don't want to know. I don't want to hear. If it's not the one or two things that matter, don't talk to me.
I like that. That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
I have no problem backing down from the informed opinion, and I will report back on my two things in YOLO style of doing things, and let the team run what they run. By the way, they do that already. I think what you're saying though is right, which is I don't want to delegate, and by not delegating, I can kind of keep my finger in a pot rather than just saying like, you know what, this is going to be what it's going to be, and I'm going to just focus on the two highest leverage things that I can do in the business to drive it forward that no one else can do besides me. Yeah,
Exactly. Because guess
that's
what
fair.
happens when Chase gets informed?
Then I want to talk and I want to get into it, and then I stop momentum.
Now you want to send a little voice note, and then the voice note becomes a call, and all of a sudden you're working on it.
You know, is this therapy? Do I need to like send this to my insurance provider to let them know that like you guys like do I need to pay copay at this? Like I just need to understand because um I literally you just curb stomp me, man, because I did it this week. Did it yesterday. So yeah, I've been I've been exposed, guys. It's not good. I mean, I guess it's great. It's great, and maybe that would make for a good show. But
I would love to hear how you guys are actually and I know it's, uh, if you get into the details, it gets too intricate to like describe properly. But we never get tactical in this podcast, but we always talk about how we're using AI. Um, so yeah, I'd love to hear how you guys are actually using it today, because it's always changing. I'm not sure about you guys and your workflows and how AI is involved in it. But for me, I feel like it's always changing. I'm kind of past the point of like tool switching, thank God. But I'm definitely like in the point where I'm realizing one of the pitfalls in my own workflow. I'll show you quickly like what I've got going here. I use Claude Code and Terminal as like hooked up to everything. And one of the things that I realized, and this is on a very small scale, it's just like launching ads, sending emails, sending SMS, and cold email outreach, a bunch of like little things. was that I realized that I was the bottleneck in all of them because I hadn't set them up to loop, right? There were like certain tasks that required me to kind of push them further along. So now what I'm like in the workflow doing is realizing how can I set this up so it doesn't rely, and I don't like delegating either because like the problem with delegating is like there's human error. Some rate of human error, people will just fuck things up. Whereas if I can get a loop for like launching our new creatives, so doing the research, getting them made, a combination of like generation, but then also people like who are like specialists at doing certain things, and then taking them into the platform and launched, then I don't have the issue of somebody putting the wrong copy on because the copy is just like populated. So that's one of the things that I'm trying to get done now is like not requiring me to push the snowball down the hill again because it's like it's in a loop, right? But yeah, I'm interested in what you guys are doing because I'm not doing any dispatch stuff or I see things in X sometimes. I'm like, wow, you guys are using AI in such interesting ways, but yeah, I don't have the time to jump into everyone else's workflows. Yeah.
I'd say we're pretty AI pilled, and I mean, dude, the list is like so long. I'm not even sure where to start, but we use it to close our books. So like our our books went from being closed in 8 days to being closed in 2 days. We use it to do content gen. I use it for strategy build. I use it for context on what's going on in the company. So it's connected to all of our. Jeremy and I were also talking about this in a separate context, but it's connected to all of our systems, including our own product. So like we have a FERMAT MCP, and so I not only have all of the internal context, I have all of the product context, I have all of the customer context. And so I can just like ask anything that I am thinking about. I can just say like, hey, I'm thinking about this strategy. How would it apply to our current customers? So it's a strategy thought partner. I like, while I am swinging my daughter, will like build a deck for a customer. So I'll like talk about what I want to do. Then I'll like push it into Claude and then I'll push it into Moda and then I'll just get back a link and it'll be like, okay, great. The deck is done. And I'll send it to the customer. Like, and my daughter's getting swung, and it's like, I think it's just like insane. Yeah. I think it's like every time I find myself thinking about anything, I stop myself and I say, why am I thinking? Like, thinking should no longer be a human activity. Like, pleasure, like, our brains are much better served as pleasure centers and like joy and empathic centers, right? Like, me hearing what Chase is doing, it is better for me to deploy my brain as an empath and understand that he is like what is happening in his world is he's getting pulled into problems, and it's like very clear to me that he's like a person who gets pulled into problems and wants to solve them. That's how I should spend my time. Humans should spend their time with other humans. And if I'm thinking about anything, something has gone awfully wrong. Because computers should do that.
Isn't there a limit to that? I'm curious what, like, generally what you think about that. Like, there's a, I am of the opinion that there are a lot of things I shouldn't think about, and there are other things I should definitely think about. And like, I actually think of the AI, and I'm curious what you guys think. But as a CEO, I delegate a lot of things. I look at the AI as I'm going to delegate things to that. And there's more I can delegate in that context, more things that I don't really want to think about that I've had to think about in the past because it just isn't something I can really delegate to somebody else, but now I can with the AI. But then there are other things that I sit there, like I actually have moments where I'll try to start working through a problem with the AI and then be like, wait a minute, I actually just need to think about this because I'm going to run in circles if I try to use the machine to get me where I need to go on this. But I don't, it sounds like maybe that is not your experience, Rishabh.
I kind of see where Rishabh's coming from because, like, I'm not sure if you guys remember when we spoke to, I think it was Mike from Postscript, and there was, one of the things that I really wished existed in SMS was the ability to send the SMS at the right time, as determined by the brain, with the right words as determined by the brain. Obviously there has to be some sort of brand filter if you're particular in that way. I'm not. I just want it to happen at the right time with all of the right considerations. How do I get somebody who just bought one of my products to buy another? Right? And I'm not the right person to make that decision because it depends on which product they bought first and what discounts they use. There's just so many variables there for a human to consider that I probably shouldn't think about it. And I imagine that the more complicated and the more important a decision is, the more of those variables there are, the more amount of like human time, expert human time, it would take to answer them comprehensively. So I kind of see where Rishabh is coming from in that, like, some of the most complicated problems you literally just can't solve without software. You can't solve without a huge amount of leverage, right? That has access to information that it can process so much faster than you can.
Jeremiah, one thing I will suggest is, I mean, first of all, Jack, that's exactly how I think about it. But Jeremiah, something that I would suggest is when you find yourself in that moment, literally say to whatever ChatGPT, Claude, whatever agent you're using, just say like, dude, come on, this is not the path. Like, we need to be thinking about it this other way.
I do that as well.
I literally will say, "This is a stupid idea. Like, you're like, this is not right." And they're like, "Oh yeah, I didn't consider this, this, and this." And I'm like, "You have context on these 4 things. Consider the context." Um, and I also have trained all of these things to tell me when I'm being dumb. And it'll be like, "Yo, dude, like they'll literally say like, "You are not thinking in the way that you should be thinking. Like these are the barriers that you already know exist. Why are you even suggesting this?" But I have trained to say like, "Look, you need to tell me." I say it all the time. Every time I get into one of these deep discussions, you need to tell me when I'm being dumb or this is a bad idea or I'm off the path. And it gives it a very good frame to say, "Hey, look, we're processing at a faster clip than you. You're possibly emotional, tired, maybe, and not thinking. You're not thinking straight. Here are the things that you need to consider." And it's even told me, "Hey, put me down, take a walk. I'm not joking you. Go to bed."
Oh, that's awesome.
It will literally say, "Go to bed," right? And it's because it's like, I'm going down the path. We're having the same conversation for 30 minutes, right? And I'm trying to get to some level of like, I need some certainty in this. And it's like, dude, you just got to make the decision with 70% of the information. And like, I think the thing I would come back to is like, Zuck has talked about like opinion-based decisions, right? And that's the magic of people. It's like there are some opinions, strong opinions that you have. So like Rishabh, you shared some strong opinions with me earlier. You're right, actually, about it. I could change on a dime like that. But that's the empath part of the side that you're talking about. Whereas processing large swaths of data, like you remember the old days doing growth marketing 10, 15 years ago. You're in a spreadsheet, you're looking at it, you're going into
Yeah.
like amplitude and you're trying to figure it out. Dude, I plug in post hog and all this other shit into Cowork, and I'm sitting there like, hey, I'm trying to solve this problem. What's the activation? What's daily journal looking like on this? What's this? What's that? And I'm stacking 5 tools together. And in like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, it gives me this whole report. And I go back to the team and I'm like, guys, look, this experiment we're running is absolutely cooked. We need to go and do these 3 things. Would never have been able to figure those things out without a data scientist sitting with me sitting with it for days, trying to figure out the data and still not actually being certain because I have not been able to stack 4 or 5 different sources of truth into a singular source of truth, right? I mean, you guys remember that, like, I can't even remember the platform it was because I haven't used it in so long, but like you would sit with the data scientist and then you'd export the CSV and you'd go test it yourself. And you're like, "You guys, my confidence level on this, like, let's run a regression." Like, dude, fuck off. Like, just let AI do that kind of stuff. But your brain and working through the human side of the problem, that's where you need to spend all of your time. And that, for me, that's where I found the highest leverage. And so I've been outsourcing all data analysis and all that. And I found that to make me much better at making quick, not fast, but quick decisions that I feel have high impact and high leverage. So data has been the biggest unlock, and working with data and working through the team with data there. Also, and this is probably a thing I've been too deep on, but like understanding like the velocity of our roadmap. Like, because like I'm not an engineer. I'm trying to get to like, how do I stage marketing and GTM with the velocity of the roadmap? And so I've been using AI to understand like, hey, look, what are timelines? What are the cycles looking like? How close are we to actual in market product that we feel good about?
Guys, I don't want to get too tactical, but in case anyone's listening and they find this helpful, one of the things that I've found really useful recently, we have an agency customer that came on and wanted a TikTok Shops integration and an Amazon integration, and like, thank God it could do it. Um, it was just asking it to try and do it all independently and making sure that it had connections. So like I've got Agent Browser, Playwright, and computer use all set up so they can use it freely. It's set up using the business registration docs, Amazon and TikTok Shop integration from start to finish independently. And I thought, oh, it's going to need me to go and upload those files. No, it didn't. It could go and do it. But I was just like, oh, I, I I used to back when I was building in Cursor smoke test myself. I'm not sure if you guys do this. You build and then you go and check the app and see that it's like nothing's broken, visually look for regressions. Then I built this like QA skill and it will use Agent Browser to go and open it up and test everything through the app. And it's probably really token hungry, but fuck it, who cares?
Yeah.
And checks for every single functionality in the app to see if there's any regressions whatsoever, right? And just running that multiple times gives me so much confidence that we're not like accidentally breaking stuff when we layer something else on top. So I think that for me, I guess the little thing that I'm taking away from that, and I'm realizing more recently, is just like uh, if I have this conception that I'm involved in some way, I have to just like forget about that and ask it to do it independently, and ask it what it needs to do it independently without me, right? So yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Our TikTok Shop's integration is like it's done.
Token hungry. That's
My,
that's a merch line. You got to get a token hungry kind of hoodie and hats and stuff like that. I think that would go that would go off.
Yeah, especially now with the new models, it's just going to get more and more hungry. I just I saw it upgraded to 4.7, and I set like it to max. I was like, use as much resources as possible. I have no idea what that's going to look like in terms of token usage, but we'll see.
You're already maxed out. You got to upgrade now. It's already done.
Maybe.
Uh, yeah, I think that's right though about the QA system. We definitely have that as well to smoke test ourselves, but automatically.
Yeah, what's the latest in the biz? Like, what are you spending your time thinking about? How are you thinking about the business? How do you think it should change or adapt given that AI is a thing?
Yeah. So we're a performance creative platform. I think one thing that I learned over the last year is Canva and Figma and Adobe will eat kind of the horizontal part of all of these creative businesses, and they just have too much scale and too much distribution to try to fight them across kind of a full a full life cycle of all the customers that they can possibly touch. I also know Figma's internal ad spend, and like I'm not going to say it out loud because a friend of mine who works there told me, but like, oh my God, there's no competing with that. So, but being focused vertically on full funnel creative from end to end for performance marketing, we definitely can compete there. Yes, there's a lot of players in there, but a lot of people focus on generation, they focus on inspiration, they focus on analytics. They're not focused on the loop of like, how do you take something, a spark of an idea, and turn it into a finished asset that is data backed and informed. And so, what we've been focused on is that loop, right? We call it, we personally, we call it the creative loop. How do you take spark of an idea and use AI to build a workflow that turns into a finished asset? And whether you are co-creating with AI or you are solo creating with like some AI augmentation along the way, you're able to do that really seamlessly in a way that feels like super impactful to you. Because like what we've learned, or what I've learned, is I had a hypothesis that people want to create and then they want to augment, and there is that customer, but you also have to have the one that the beachhead is, hey, I want to generate and then I want to optimize, versus I want to optimize and then I want to generate from there. And like my core thesis for a long time was like people want to have some level of control at the beginning. And what I found is like there are multiple versions of this, just like there are multiple people in this conversation who have different opinions. And so we've kind of said, okay, we know we can do the one that's my opinion, obviously, but we need to have the second one, which is more important in the market today, I believe, which is I want to generate and then I want to customize. So, like we just launched what we call AI Lab, has about 10 tools in it right now. We're in the process of turning that into kind of a workflow solution. So you have a workflow builder where you can essentially run an agent through all of them. And all you have to do is say, hey, I'm running this ad, or I like this inspiration, kind of run this whole workflow with that. And that'll be coming out in the next month or so. We built an iteration engine where you can take any asset that you've made and turn it into 15, and they'll either be like bizarro ads. You can kind of choose the configuration. I think what we're leaning into is generation is not a unique value prop anymore. It's not. It hasn't been for a while, and you can do this on multiple places. What we believe is like taste and quality will become more and more important as time goes on. And so we want to be a place that facilitates that as you run your process. So it's it's a competition. Definitely, there are a lot of amazing players in the space. I've used every single one of those tools, and they all do a singular thing well, but they don't string together a process very well. So like Canva had a big announcement, by the way, and they're thinking about a lot of this stuff. They did a big thing at their annual event yesterday, and so they're definitely thinking about how AI can augment creative workflows. Another company called Flora raised like 44 million for this. They're more of like a venture, not a venture, excuse me, an enterprise kind of workflow. Creative workspace that like essentially has like an open router style where you can use different models and build workflows, etc. What I'm seeing is in the same way that we're all talking about using MCPs and using co-work and connecting a bunch of things, people want to do that either in Claude or they want your product to be able to facilitate some version of that. And like the dissonance is if you're kind of one of these old systems that just you have to do things at one at a time, you're going to be left behind. But if you have either a tool set that can work ambiently in one of these IDEs, or you go and do that yourself, you have a lot of impact that you can have for a customer. But today we almost have to forget Creative OS for a second. We have to, in general, understand the way that people are thinking about doing work differently. And so I find that people are thinking in workflows a lot more now than they ever did before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I wonder, just directly off of that last point, are you building for someone to use you through Claude, or do you expect them to log into your software?
What we're doing is making sure that someone logs into our software and it works seamlessly so that when we plug it into Claude, it's not a question that it's going to work exactly the same. So the kind of I'll just call it 90-day vision of all of this is like we finish kind of this first tool set and workflow build, and then we flick on being able to run it in Cursor, Claude, or whatever, anti-gravity, whatever you want to do it in. We've been testing it
Oh my God,
ourselves.
what a headache. Has anyone used anti-gravity? Terrible. Terrible product. Can't believe they
Like,
made it.
yeah, it's okay. Like, it definitely is kind of the same thing I've been feeling about all the stuff that's been coming out of Google Lab recently. Is like it's like 70% of the way there. Whatever. Nano Banana is great. Um,
Yeah.
yes, everything needs to be used, be able to be used in the AI systems, not us.
We're
Um,
at such an interesting time because there are so many people who have really interesting, compelling businesses that have been serving people for a while and are completely redesigning their businesses right now. I remember, Chase, when I first heard of Creative OS, it was back when you had that like gradient, beautiful color background thing on the website.
yeah,
And I was an agency, I was consulting for a couple of agencies. And we were, doing a lot of research that goes into Canva templates that then goes into made ads for the brands that we were working with. We found you guys and we're like, oh, wait, we can just download it from here. We can just work with Creative OS and we've got production solved, right? It is a very pragmatic, solution oriented product. Um, but I imagine now, like looking forward over the next 90 days and the vision of the product that you're describing now is completely different. So it's an exciting time, seeing everyone like reimagine what their businesses are going to look like and how much more productive and helpful they could be. Because that use case before image ad generation and stuff was really
yeah,
useful to me at
it
the
was.
time. But
It
now
was.
this is,
I
a
think you
major
have to
step forward.
be able to like just using us as an analog. Like, we made a play to have a in-platform editor for people to be able to use. But why are we stopping people from just making things anywhere? Right? Like that's an old like, hey, we're gonna own this thing and it's gonna live here. It's like, no, like people want to build the way they want to build. You have to be configurable and like kind of have a set of Legos that you let people build with. And if they choose your three pieces of red Lego to be a part of their workflow, because they love their workflow so much, I don't want to say you're safe because you're never safe. You have to have an amazing product and have like the value generation has to be there, but you become a part of the way that they think about business rather than like their P&L, if you will. So, um, that's like, I don't want to say like, that's been a kick in the teeth for me. Cause like, there's a whole old way that you think about, hey, I'm going to have a platform. They're going to come here. They're going to do this thing on here instead of saying, hey, look, they're using these things to get an outcome, and everything is outcome based. How can I be part of their outcome and make sure that they feel that we are a valuable part of a valuable cog in the machine of their outcome? Because that's the only thing anyone is after, right? That's the alpha you're after. You have an outcome in mind. What are the things, not even platforms, not, but like the things that I need to be building blocks to that outcome in the most efficient, high leverage value way that's possible? And like, I was backwards on that for a while, transparently with you. Like you kind of figure it out as you go along, but the market is telling us what we need to be doing, and we need to respond with a lot of velocity.
I've got a question for you guys. And Jeremiah, sorry, Rishabh, I saw you shaking your head, so I want to hear what you're thinking about what Chase just said. But
He
my
was
question
nodding,
is,
dude. He loved it.
do you think that there's value in, yeah, well, it was all, it was, different directions depending on the part of your, that you were speaking on. But yeah, do you think that there's value in people replacing increasingly uh, specialist roles, human roles? Because like right now, at least that's what I'm spending a fair amount of time doing is like, how can I not do this myself anymore? And how can I not have to delegate this anymore so that it doesn't, have the chance of human error? But yeah, I wonder if, and that was one of the value props of Creative OS initially when we were first customers, was that you had done everything. As a production suite, you were basically taking it all the way up into the end before personalization to the brands that we were working with. So, yeah, I wonder, do you guys think like pragmatically, if somebody was there going, how do I reshape this? That like addressing really high value functions in a business that are currently expensive individuals, is that like an opportunity?
That's a hard question because I would say that specialist roles are going away anyway. Like the most like simplistic way of thinking about this is engineering, product design are all becoming one, and there's this like three-way Mexican standoff of like which one is left.
Yeah.
And so like I'm just like not even sure what it means to be a specialist role anymore because like look, obviously the top 1% of any specialist role is always super valuable.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is like always the case. But the big screw up with AI is that everyone is a 90 percentile of any given specialist role. And therefore, the most important people in your I'm going to talk about org design. I promise it's answering your question, Jack. I think the opportunity with AI, not problem, the opportunity with AI is now people who are just high agency, high grit, and high horsepower can just do everything themselves. Actually, not sort of, actually. I never used to know how to build a deck. Okay. Like it was not in my skill set. I have no design competence whatsoever. I don't need it anymore. I can produce a plenty nice deck, right? Because it turns out that hitting the 90th percentile mark is trivial with these different AI tools. Hitting the 99th percentile mark is not easy, right? And so those like people who are exceptional will always be exceptional and they will always push the field, and a statistical piece of software will never push the like there's all of those things that are still true, but the the 90th percentile is easy. And so all organizations are going to look, I don't know if you guys have seen this like Jack Dorsey thing about like how the new organization is built, but there are no specialist roles. There are people who are like, how do we steer this thing? And then there are people who are based on where AI hits a bottleneck, how do we help it execute? And what do I need to do to execute, which is mostly human style stuff. And that's basically it. And then there's the people who are helping the other people become more AI native, like player coach style. But there's no special, like, if anything, I think the specialist is like gone no matter what. And so I'm not sure there's like a big business to be built to, like, if you're singularly worrying about a single specialist role per se. That's why Harvey does not worry about a single specialist role. They come into a legal organization and say, we'll agentify your org. And it means a bunch of different things. And yeah, along the way, roles will get reduced, but they're not sitting there saying, hey, we're going to replace your paralegal. Like, that's not what they say. They say, we're going to come in and agentify the whole organization. Right. And so like it's a it's a very different proposition to say we're going to agentify organization than it is to say we're going to worry about this role. I think the worrying about the role thing is like a yeah. I think it's too narrow given the whole org has been reshaped anyway.
Mhm.
And in fact, if you look at my own hiring, if I were to inspect my own hiring, I'm just trying to find like smart high agency people who will do stuff. I'm like kind of indifferent to what they are particularly good at.
What do you think, Jeremiah? Well, I couldn't agree more. I think it's maybe a little bit less about the role and more about the business case that that individual is solving for, and solving for that with your software, right? One of the things separate from being able to execute AI, being able to execute in a way that a paralegal is able to execute, is actually having accountability for the outcome, right? Because if you come into an org and you say, yeah, well, we're going to agentify everything, but then nothing gets done, and the AI isn't accountable for the job that it just augmented or replaced, then I can see customers being unhappy. But yeah, what do you think, Trevor?
Well, I don't really have anything additional to add to that specifically. I guess one thing though that I was thinking about is, Jack, you were talking about it, basically like rethinking the products that we have today and how that looks in the future, all of that. And I think one thing that's really struck me is every time I think about like what's one step ahead of where we are today, I look at what AI is moving towards, and I think about how like that stuff's not enough, and then the step after that might not be enough, and the step after that might not be enough. It's like how there's like this weird thing now where it's like how long can you stay one step ahead, and when do you get to the point where it doesn't matter? And that's the thing that I'm thinking about a lot. Um, so anyway, a little bit of a kind of going back a bit, but I don't know. Like we were talking about replacing roles and all that kind of stuff. I'm just thinking about like at what point does it even the thing that we're building even matter? And how do you think about that? I don't know what you guys are. I'm curious how you guys are thinking about that problem, because you can see almost always there's like a step, that next step you take, there's something that can come after that as well. And so like, how are you thinking about that path?
I like this idea of hiring for high agency people, because one of the things I tried to tell my team was, if you can automate this, you're still going to get paid for it as if you were doing it yourself. But if you can automate it so that it happens without you and you can focus on other things, then that would be great, right? I would really, you'll build that leverage into the business, and you'll be able to, go and focus on other things, and you're still going to get paid as if you were doing all of these different jobs. I pay on a exclusively pay per project basis. I then
Yeah.
get something done that is of some value and you get paid. Um, so, the idea behind automating these things is that they can potentially stack as many automations as possible. Problem is, no one's automating all that much. There's only like a couple people who are automating a bunch of stuff. And I'm very appreciative of that.
I think you guys heard, I think, I forget, he was on 20 VC's podcast. Mark Andreessen was talking about how when you measure the output of what people are doing, they're not doing less work. They're actually working more now than they did beforehand, because they feel essentially like that they have, octopus tentacles with the ability to actually get shit done. And so, back to like Rishabh's original point, um, high agency people are the actual leverage point here. I don't actually think, I think organizations are just going to get more efficient, effective, and have better velocity on what they're trying to do. And it's less about the people. It's more about making people into AI native builders, um, and making sure that they understand that it's not about we want to get rid of you. It's like we want to empower you to actually be the best version of yourself for this company against what we've goaled for the company. And then you just have to be like, as a leader, you have to be really clear about what your actual goal is, right? And so in all the companies that I've either advised in, worked in, or built myself, um, clarity is the actual place where alpha is created. If you know what you want to do, and you know what you need to do to get there, then it's about just saying, hey, look, what tools do we have to make this happen? We have people and we have AI. How do we take AI and say 80% of this crap work that you need to do, you shouldn't do, right? So you're going to spend the next 3, 6, whatever, how 1 week to 6 months, whatever it takes to make sure that the highest leverage thing that needs your brain to do, or your time, because you need to be in front of people, that's what you're doing, but you're doing it with 100% of yourself rather than 10% of yourself. Because that's what all of us do. It's literally was the first 20 minutes of our conversation. Chase, why the fuck are you spending 5.5 hours of sleep and putting your fingers in pots that you don't need to do? Right? So, like, this is full circle, man. This is where we were meant to get to in this entire conversation.
Mm. Someone tell me why I'm wrong, but I used to describe this as the difference between an employee and a business owner. And, I've met some people who are like very important in their jobs. They're very senior, but they don't have an assistant, right? And they're doing mundane, annoying things that take up their time, that really don't need to take up their time, right? Like, I don't know, managing their inbox or whatever. A lot of things, they're just 100% margin on their salaries because they couldn't be a business owner. They couldn't employ someone to handle all of the stuff that they don't want to do, right? I think it's interesting. These people have teams that they've been like told that they're supposed to build, and those people are obviously represent some leverage in the business and in their teams, but still no assistant, right? And maybe they should have at least 5, right?
Yeah.
I don't have an assistant, but I just also don't check my inbox unless
That works, right?
I don't consider it high leverage for the most part. It's just like,
They'll text me if they have a problem. Like that's been my learning is that they'll call, text me, or Slack me if there's something really important that's in the inbox. Um, I mean, I still have I do the Claude summaries, right? Like you just say, hey, what's in my inbox? What actually needs my attention? Um, and what's against these kind of things that I'm actually thinking about. And every once in a while, it gives me something that I missed. For the most part, it's just people are CCing me for no reason. I've been telling people to actually take me off CC now, for that reason.
But do you guys know someone who is like a high performer and they're doing everything themselves and there's parts of their job that they slug through and they don't like and they really should delegate them out so that they can focus on the thing that only they can do. But they're not going to do it because that's not the way that their job works and that's not the way that things are, and they're not used to employing people unless they've been told to employ someone. So I think that that's like just such a massive difference um, between two types of person, right? Somebody who's going to use as much leverage as possible, whether it's AI, and actually open it up and find ways that they could make things easier for themselves, or use people the old-fashioned way, right? Just make sure that the shit's getting done and it's not all on their shoulders, right?
Well, dude, like we're sitting here and we're all AI pilled and we're all in the groups of people who are AI pilled. So like we think that this is the world. It's not yet. Like it will be, but there are hundreds of millions of people that are not doing anything that we're saying. And they're like watching the news being like, oh, well, like Claude, is that a guy in France? You know what I mean? Like they have no idea what we're talking about. And it's not a bad thing. That's how technology goes. It's the bell curve of innovation, right? We're still very early in this game. It just feels because of our Twitter feeds or our X feeds, excuse me, that like this is everything. No, like my wife works in a big company. They just now were said like, hey, you should start thinking about possibly, maybe using Chat GPT to do some of your work, right? Maybe if you want, here's a license. You are not required to do it because we're doing this other integration into the work that we're doing.
Yeah, it's totally true. Yeah. On that note, I'm sorry guys, I really gotta run, but I
Yeah.
gotta be somewhere else at 12. But I completely agree with this. I was telling Jeremiah, like we were talking about something else, and even in our own world, just to be clear, this is happening. So it's not like our world has this, but like our world, like more broad, the ones that we all touch. I can tell you with high confidence that there are people who, like, they haven't even downloaded Claude yet. So
For a
anyway,
fact. Yeah.
dude, this was amazing.
Yeah. Thank you guys. This is a pleasure.
you. So the reason economic impact stuff around AI, like that what they do is they go and they interview big companies for the most part, and they ask them these questions. And the economists will say, "Oh, it's not having any impact on jobs," but it's because the people they're talking to haven't thought about implementing it yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you can't even like think about what the impact on employment will be with this technology when your data point is companies that haven't even figured out
How to do anything.
how to
Like
do
they
anything.
don't have any I mean, there's no Like I have a buddy who runs like an enterprise AI implementation company, and he's been doing it for like 5 years now. So he was very early on it, and they crush. And his whole thing is like the actual challenge is we do a year-long engagement, and it's 6 months of us just being like, hey, you thought about this and thought about that, and people are like, fuck you, get out of here. And they don't understand the entire job isn't it's like every time I talk to people about AI. And so like first of all, let me just say this. I am very anti replacing people. I do not believe in it. I would say this if Rishabh was here right now. I am not a fan of this. I want people to work. Idle hands are an absolute disaster, right? I want more people to be at work and having a purpose and having a way that they're able to support their families. Universal basic income. Like, I don't believe in any of this shit, right? Like, exceptionalism and meritocracy still is the best way that we can do any of the things that we do. And what I believe is either companies will have higher output with AI and people augmented, or there will be just more companies, right? And we'll find a democratization on like, hey, look, we're just going to have a lot more personalized companies. And those people who maybe have been pushed out, so like Disney just had a huge layoff, right? A bunch of marketing executives at Disney. And it's only because I'm in LA, my wife used to work at Disney, like this is a thing. And I used to be in film. It's like, okay, Disney is like a thing in my mind. Those people are going to find jobs. It's not a question. They're all high agency, smart people. They're going to figure it out because human beings have survived for millions of years in much worse conditions than, oh, AI is going to be a problem. And for me, actually, of all of the things around AI, the actual thing I'm worried about is the energy grid. Not, hey, is a team going to be able to augment themselves with AI? It's like, do we actually have the power set up? Because we haven't fixed our, and I'm getting way too political on this, but like we haven't fixed our energy infrastructure in like 60 years. So we're running AI systems that are meant for 2026 and beyond on stuff that was built in 1946. So like
Now we have a
there's
really good incentive to update it. Right.
well, that's oh, absolutely. That's what this is one of the other kind of gold rushes no one talks about right now. Is like if you can find a way to fund energy infrastructure bills, like that is a huge impact, that and satellites. And so I agree with you. They're asking people who have not even thought about it. And I still think we're not like I would say this to our team, and it may be more as maybe me like trying to pump them up. I'm like, guys, we haven't even left the locker room yet. We're not even on the field. We haven't taken our warm up like suits off yet. We're not even in the game. And I think AI is very much at the same place. What I do want people to be thoughtful about is like replacing people is not actually a good thing. It will lead to a lot more problems. If you look at every single problematic time in the course of human history, it's because people didn't have jobs and people didn't have food. So let's not take away jobs. Let's augment people so they feel more empowered. And so that's I mean that's my wish for the world. I know everyone is pitching. You don't need a designer. You don't need this. No, man, you still need a designer. They still need to have a certain POV. But maybe that designer doesn't need to sit there and be like, hey, I need to apply this brand kit to this asset. It's like it's already applied. But if we just do this, that will cut through. And that's for me, that's the job of a human is to say, what is the true unique thing that we can do? Because computers and like people used to handwrite things and then they got typewriters. The Bible was handwritten by monks until the printing press. Think about that for a second. People were not allowed to read the Bible. And then they got a printing press and were like, oh, it's like the world went crazy for 100 years, right? It's the same, we're thinking the same shit.
Yeah, my fear with this though is that because the what you're describing is accurate. I think that's going to how it will play out ultimately. Like it probably doesn't mean less jobs someday, hopefully. But there's this like but it could. I think more than
It could. Capitalism is capitalism is capital. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think my fear is that because what companies have to figure out is how to transform their output, basically, right? And so when you have a company, let's say you've got 10,000 people working at a company who have been producing a set amount of output for a certain period of time and it's growing at a specific rate and all of this kind of stuff, all of this has been predictable for decades.
That's very
And
true.
now the technology comes in that lets you do 80% of that for without a person necessary. Those companies aren't going to know how to transform fast enough to avoid the layoffs and all of that kind of stuff. I think that's the challenge. So I think there will be a painful. I don't want to say there will be. my fear is that there's going to be a period of pain while we figure out how to adjust to the capabilities over the next, say, 10 years.
So here's a kind of first of all, exactly right. I will say, like, I think we've all done cuts in our businesses before. And you say, like, I'm doing a budget cut. People this, that, and we're gonna automate this, automate that. And for 3 months, you're like, yo, dude, margin, baby. And then month four hits, and you're like, fuck, we need those people back. Right? Or we need something back. It is like a tale as old as time. Dude, look at all these AI forward companies. Go look at their job pages. Go do it. They're hiring back all the people that they fucking fired. So, like, I'm not saying that that's like it is a cycle though. We have this thing. We don't need people. Oh, damn, this thing still needs people because we're trying to augment it. And like, yes, I don't want to say CAGR is hard capped for companies. There is a certain way that they're going to grow, but like every single person underestimates the impact that a person could make. Have you heard that? What's that saying? You, like you always underestimate what you can accomplish in 1 year, but always overestimate what you can accomplish in 5 years. And I find this like there's this economic imperative generally with companies, and like again, we all have it. Like highest margin company you can possibly have, without the understanding that like not all margin is good margin. It's like not every good deal is a good deal, and like this is the tension I think we're going to run into. But again, if you just use history as an example, every single time this has happened, it's a weird 3, 5 year period and like 10-year period, and it's depending on the rate of innovation. And so the question for me becomes, okay, like we feel like all this stuff is happening. At what pace, at what rate do we get to equilibrium with this? I don't have an answer. I'm asking the question. I think is what like the same question as you. Like, does this actually cause mass layoffs? Probably there is a world in which that happens, and then people realize, oh, we shouldn't have done that. We actually needed to have like an actual AI workforce or like ability to agentify the company and the using the words Rish used and saying this is the actual imperative of the company. We're going to help augment people. And then once we've done that, we can now measure, do we need to lay off 100 people or 10 people? And were those 10 people the people that were already on the list? Right? And that's my open question. Is like a friend of mine said there's never been a better time to be exceptional and a worse time to be mediocre. And so really the whole thing is like if you're a person and you know that you're kind of in the middle, how can you take AI and make yourself get into that 90th percentile? Because you can, but you have to want it. And so human beings have survived forever. I think everyone will figure it out. It's just how fast. And I'm always an eternal optimist. So I'm very hopeful that everyone will be able to do that. But like you can't hide and think that it's going to take care of itself. Um, Again, I've done it. Like we're like, it'll be fine. It's like, no one's coming to save you. Uh, um, but yeah, please, we want to keep jobs, want to keep people busy, and just feeling like they can take care of their families. Whoever's listening to this, Claude, don't need every job. Like people still need jobs. I mean,
Well, you know what's interesting? I'm keen to hear what you guys think, and I hope you don't have something that's coming up because this is going on a little bit longer than we normally go. But like I feel like when you use Claude, you are replacing people, right? When you use Claude for anything, that is resources you would have spent, employing someone to go and do the thing, even something as simple as writing, which is like the most basic of AI tasks, right? For blogs or your social media or whatever it happens to be. But then all the way through to code, obviously code replaces people. It replaces typically very expensive people. I think I understand what you're saying. Maybe is I don't want to replace my people, the people that have like been with me for years, the people I know their names and I know their families. I want to replace these people and put them out of a job, and I can totally get on board with that. But I wonder if like all of this replacing people or just making like solutions more abundant is actually like it's a net good thing. And the demand for more jobs or the demand for resources to sustain an individual or like a lot of individuals as certain jobs become completely automated creates the supply for it, right? It says, hey, I need something to do to provide to others in order to sustain me and my family. And now I can't do, I don't know, code, or I can't do that's probably not the first one to go, but like now I can't do copywriting. That's probably
yeah,
gone. I have to go and find another way to be useful to people. right? I mean, I totally hear you, but am I understanding you correctly? Is that like the type of not replacing people that you're looking at? Like, I don't want to replace my people, but like, I'm okay with me using these tools that genuinely do actively replace people, my requirement for people to do these things.
Good question.
One quick comment on that. I find with AI that there's a lot of things I wouldn't have paid somebody to do that I am now doing because the ROI, like I couldn't justify going out and spending $5,000 to have somebody do this project, but I can do it in Claude it by
Yeah.
myself in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
I don't the yes, does that replace somebody's work? Sure, but I wouldn't have paid them anyways to do it because I just can't. I don't the case was
Yeah.
the business case wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I and now potentially that thing gets proved out in a way that it becomes a job for somebody in the future. I don't I haven't that hasn't actually happened yet where I've done that, but I think that's a possibility, right? And that's kind of my expectation actually is that there will be things like that that end up I'm able to prove the value of the AI tools to the point where I say I need somebody to run this thing and I want to go
Yeah.
find somebody.
Or you have people in your team that are taking on those projects that maybe would have been outsourced before. I think it kind of comes back to like the leverage of the thing that you do, right? I also I am of the belief now. So like the same way, so like by the way, I'm gonna say this and maybe it's gonna sound bad, but like we're in the drop shipping era of software, right? Like everyone can do anything and everyone thinks they can do anything and like, oh, I can spin up a thing. Do you know how fucking hard it is to actually run a software company? Like kiss my ass.
I'm learning.
Yeah, at scale, like it is so easy to prototype something to turn
Dude, throw a stripe on it, throw it
yeah,
out there. Dude, I did a
easy.
launch video and I got 100 customers. Take that to 5,000 and then let's talk. By the way, people are doing it. I'm not saying you can't do it. I want everyone to do it. But like, dude, I've launched like 10 different drop shipping stores and I got $1,000 worth of sales. Was it worth my time? No, it was not. And so like everyone is doing everything. And like this again, I've come back to Jack, we were talking about history. You read enough, like every single time this has happened, the same thing happens. It's a gold rush, right? When mobile came out, how many fucking mobile developers were it went from nothing to all of this. Now we're at a place where now we're having another kind of gold rush. And so the market is getting flooded with stuff. But people still have to make a living. They still have to take care of their lives. They still have to, if they have a job, do their job. And so, sure, you're running your open claw, but like you need to pay your rent. Is your open claw that's draining credits for you going to make you enough money to pay your rent? If it is not, you will eventually lose interest in that and go back to the thing that you need to do to make sure that you're able to take care of your life. And so I'm not, I'm more talking about like human psychology has played out essentially some version of the same way. There were the old oil catters who would go in there looking for oil, gold, looking for gold, treasure hunters looking for like it is not now we're going to space and there are the versions of people who have the money to go to space and look for different things. Eventually you get to an equilibrium with all of these things. We're not there yet by a long stretch. It's going to take a while. What I'm saying is like you have to understand everyone, by the way, myself included, that like we are in this moment in time. And there are like 3 to 4 things outside of AI that are making this whole time feel very heavy. I won't get too into all of that, but like there's only so much information a human being can ingest and feel good about their day to day, right? Uh, I think you've heard this, like the amount of content and stuff we consume in a day is what person used to consume in a lifetime, right? Maybe.
That crazy.
It's nuts. But you think about this, like if you look at the kind of way our brains have evolved, versus the amount of information, like we have not caught up. So the same way we're talking about like these companies aren't getting AI native fast enough. Dude, we're not even AI native fast enough. We're sitting here like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Like 100 years ago, someone was amazed that they could read a newspaper, you know? Oh God, I got the evening times. There's a radio that I can listen to a story on. What an amazing feat. Dude, I'm watching the news in 3D on VR glasses. I'm able to like, what? You know what I mean? Like, there are 500 years in the dark ages where it's like, hey man, like I can poop in a hole now that's like it's made of stone instead of in the ground. You know what I mean? And that was the innovation. Oh God, these candles. They're made of tallow now. They're made of wax. It takes way, like they burn for 3 hours longer when we make them. Like I I don't mean to be kind of anti any of this stuff. We need it. We need to, but like, let's put it in the context it deserves instead of a 6 month window on like a 600-year window. And when you look at it that way, you're like, okay, we will survive because we've always survived. We just need to understand that it's going to look different, which is what happens every single time. It's going to look different. Cars, we did horses. The reference I've been using, and like I know we're going over, so I'll stop on this. Is like the wheel on a cart in Rome is the same wheel that's on your car. It just can bear more load, go faster, last longer than it did beforehand. It's still the same technology. It has an axle, it has a hubcap essentially on it, and it moves something from one place to the other. But now you have an engine, you have oil or electric, you don't have a horse on it generally, and it can go 80 miles, 100 miles an hour if you want it to. And some of them, if it pops, fucking foam goes into them if you have it the proper way. But the technology is still the same, it's just more advanced. And so we're doing the same thing. Computers have been around for 100 years. They're just processing things faster. They can do more stuff for us.
To
You know?
close the loop here, because you're both dads, and I think maybe this is interesting. I'm thinking about it a lot. You know, how weird is it to think about what the world is going to look like when they're of, you know, when they're 15, when they're 21, right? Like I'm thinking about education for my son. Like it's not going to be the way that it is today with everything that's happening. I mean, I just can't imagine it being anything like that. It wouldn't be typical for him anyway, for different reasons. But like, the technology is going to be in such a different place, and the world is going to be in a completely different space in 10 years' time when he's 10 years old, let alone when he's 20, right? It's fascinating. I'm quite hopeful that things will be better. Um, but it is interesting. I'm not sure if this is something you guys are thinking
Yeah.
about, but
I
yeah.
don't believe in the Skynet future. Maybe I'm going to be wrong and I'm going to, the lasers are going to get me or something. But our parents didn't have social media and we had social media. And yes, there are some bad things that have come out of it, but we also, none of us would have jobs if there wasn't social media. You know what I mean? And so this will create some level of stuff. Uh, our parents had rock and roll. Our their parents didn't have it. Like it's just things change. They grew up with TVs. Their parents didn't grow up with TVs, right? Their parents before that didn't grow up with movies. They grew up with movies. Like some of them didn't have, I have a thing. So my grandma, my mom's family, I'm half black and half Persian. So we have this chest in our house that is 160 years old that my grandma gave us when she moved. Um, and it's her great 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 grandfather's first chest he bought after he got out of slavery. And it's sitting in our house, has a bunch of china and stuff in it. And it still works and I could still carry stuff in it. But dude, it is not something that I would want to carry around. I can't believe that he carried around doing the stuff that he had to do. There's no wheels on it. It's fucking 120 pounds. It's made of wood and metal. But if I needed to, I could take it to the airport. I'd have to pay a little extra fees and stuff like that. So I guess I'm very hopeful uh, about the future. I think it's just on us to take an active role in educating our kids about the pluses and minuses of this stuff. Because social media kind of came upon us and no one talked about the negative side of it. And so now our generation has way more information about that. And so giving our kids the tools to understand, hey, AI is amazing for this. Like my son and I, we make coloring books for him together with ChatGPT. It's so much fun. He gets to make the story that he wants to make. It's an amazing use case. Would never want to be able to here's the thing off Amazon, deal with it. Now he can tell a story that he wants to tell. And that's magic, seeing his eyes light up doing that. And so it's just on us to teach them, but I think that's been on every parent in the history of time. So it's just the technology looks a little bit different. I'm sorry, Jeremiah. I went on a bit of a rant.
No. I think that's good. I was thinking the same thing. Like, I think part of like right now we actually don't know what the downsides of AI are going to be. I think just teaching our kids that there will be downsides. Like in everything, there's positives and negatives, and um, yeah, just to be aware. I was something my parents have taught me is like I feel like that wasn't the way I was raised. It was very much like here's the thing, do it. not being as thoughtful about that stuff. But anyway, I think that's
that generation. I mean, we don't want to get too deep into that, but my wife and I have had a lot of conversations about that.
yeah, they did their best. I don't blame them. But at the same time, it's like I wish I'd been taught to think a little bit more about some of those things, and so we can never get.
Craft singles. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, this has been fun. I definitely got to go this
Yeah,
point, but
I got to jump. I got to jump too. But this was a blast. Thanks for having me. I
yeah,
really
thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks for coming on, man. This was fun. Appreciate
Yeah.
it. You
All
guys.
right. Cheers.